Shinn Show, a Shinn Show, a Shinn Show, a Shinn Show. Welcome once again to a Shinn Show. I'm Pete Shinn, joined by Sarah Shinn and Bradley Hamilton. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
How it do, everybody?
All right, fantastic. We're all here. Let's start off with what we usually start off with, which is, hey, what are the big items from the last week in your personal life?
I went to some haunted houses yesterday, which was pretty fun.
In Kansas City?
In Kansas City.
How was that?
It was good. It was a little crowded. We ended up being a little bit later than I thought we were going to be, which, you know, means there was more crowds. But as the night wore on, it thinned out a little bit, and it was good fun. Good time.
Yeah, so you did Edge of Hell, probably?
I did all three. So there's three associated haunted houses down there. There's the Edge of Hell, there's the Beast, and there's the Macabre Cinema.
Oh, I see. The Macabre Cinema is surely a newish one, last 10 years or so.
Yep.
I got it.
So for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, they had something like the Poe, like Edgar Allan Poe Theater or something, but that was only there for like 1 year.
Yeah.
And replaced that. So, it's fairly new, and it's that one's actually my favorite. But I was mentioning last night to everyone, I said, I'm really impressed and pleased with the way that they changed the layout. Like, they don't keep everything exactly the same year to year. It's been a few years since we've been down there, but it was just different enough to make the experience new-ish. So that was fun. It was a good time.
Fantastic. You know, I love those haunted houses. They're a Kansas City tradition, especially the Edge of Hell and the Beast. They've been operating for at least 20 years. So that's a cool deal. I wish I'd have been there. It sounds like fun. Bradley, anything special in your wife?
My wife, yes. Let me tell you. No, but I mean, when we think...
Speaking of, I have big news.
No.
No.
We'll let Bradley go first, and then we'll get back to your big news. I'm fascinated now.
No, I didn't.
Okay, let us have it, Brad.
All right. So this is both going to affect me and Pete as it is currently. But some family of mine, kind of new to Pete, but it's been part of my life for a while. Like, oldest cousin Peyton has come to visit for this about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And that's really it. It's just, I mean, I had a short week at school. Whoa, that's interesting.
You know what though?
You
know, Peyton's visit is interesting. Terrific young lady, 19 years old, trying to figure it out. You know how it is, Sarah.
Yeah.
Peyton.
Yeah, you've never met Peyton.
No. I never think of that as a gender neutral name.
Oh, you think of it more as Peyton Manning, a male name, probably.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But it's spelled differently.
That's just my exposure, though.
Yeah, it's spelled differently. Payton. So that makes it female.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently.
Now you know. Yeah,
now I know.
So Brad's right. That's actually been a fairly big impact on all of our lives, just having another person in the house. And, we've been spending a lot of time taking her to monuments and museums and whatnot, and that's been lots of fun. That's the thing about living in the greater D.C. area. There's so much to do for people who come visit us.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Welcome. All those good things.
Absolutely. So I should remind everyone at this time, now that we've gone through the big items for the week. Well, first of all, let's go back to your, oh my God, big news. What's the big news?
No, that was a joke. I was.
Oh, so you lied.
Said wife,
Yeah.
That was.
I see.
Go over well.
Yeah, as if Brad had gotten married. Got it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I thought it was big news with your wife. So.
No.
I see. No big news there.
No.
Steady state. Operation normal.
SOP.
Okay, good. All right. So, So, we're brought to you by Ziff's Fine Dining Establishment in Invercargill, New Zealand. They don't know that. It's fine. They will someday. You bet they will. They're going to be sorry. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I'm threatening.
That's not exactly the sentiment I think we want to go for with our sponsors. They'll be pleased that we've been advertising for them for so long.
That's probably what I meant.
You are a walking PR nightmare. Let me tell you.
Terrible, just terrible. Speaking of walking PR nightmares, nightmares that are no longer walking include the now confessed to murder of Jamal Khashoggi by operatives of the Saudi government. That's been an absolute disaster for Mohammed bin Salman, bin Saladin, MBS. I don't know what the S is. I think it's Saladin, Mohammed bin Saladin. Does that sound right? Anyway,
Sure.
the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has been in hot water over the apparent murder and dismembering while alive of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi in the Saudi consulate in Turkey. So, that's kind of a bad deal. Our government is still, we're trying to ascertain all the facts. The Turkish government, for their part, is pretty clear that, hey, we've got recordings of this guy.
Bricks.
Yeah, well, no, not the Turkish government. The Turkish government is putting the screws to the Saudi government. The Turkish government is the one with the recordings. They're the ones that are saying, hey, we have all the evidence that shows that this guy was murdered in your consulate on our territory. And there's a lot of history there, right? Because Saudi Arabia used to be part of the Ottoman Empire, which was run out of what is now Turkey. And so Turkey and Saudi Arabia are uneasy allies. They're both friends of the United States, if you will, in some capacity. And yet there's a lot of resentment on the Turkish side against the Saudi government, which used to be part of the larger Turkish Empire. So, it's kind of a mess.
As is most politics.
Yes. But here's what I would say. I would just say killing journalists is wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. You would think that we could settle on that as like a universal truth. But humans are terrible as animals.
Yeah. It's not good. No. In other news, the rebuilding of Tyndall and Panama City and the greater Panhandle area that's been devastated by Hurricane Michael is going on apace. Death toll has risen slightly. And as you can expect, it's going to be a long, slow recovery there in the Panhandle of Florida.
But it's begun.
It has begun. No question about it. It's going to be a long time, though, before that area is rebuilt fully. But they're working on it.
That's unfortunate, considering, their main economy is tourism and all that. So,
but never a better time to buy than right now.
That's true. Do your own rebuilding, DIY style.
Exactly. If you've always wanted a slice of heaven in Mexico Beach, Florida, well, now's the time to buy low.
Boy, have I got a deal for you.
I got a great deal for you. A lot of land down there. Going to be some clearing that you're going to need to do first, but then you're going to have prime property. And actually, there's a lot of truth to that. Now, you might say you're a vulture picking up the bones of those who are less fortunate, but there are going to be people who do that.
Just be opportunistic.
Matter of perspective.
There you have.
You just got the guts to succeed.
But that's
there you go.
That's the spirit, Bradley. Absolutely.
Good old-fashioned American gumption.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's gumption. Yep. Chock full of gumption. Well, in other news, everyone's talking about the midterms. No one knows what's going to happen. But there's an increasing sentiment that it might be possible for the Republicans to retain control of the House.
Fascinating and frustrating from my point of view, but, fascinating.
Well, on the other hand, if you look at historically, if indeed the Republicans were to retain control of the House, even by a single seat, and retain control of the Senate, which seems incredibly likely, it would be an historic victory for the GOP in that almost every president, there are very few exceptions, in their first midterm absolutely takes a beating, especially if their approval rating is in the low 40s, as is the approval rating of Donald Trump. So it would be extraordinary if the Republicans were indeed able to hang on to a majority in the House. But here's what's in their favor. What's in their favor is a terrific economy for many people.
Mm-hmm.
What's against them is the fact that many of their policies are historically unpopular despite the good economy. So, for all of that, it's a toss-up. So that means one thing, irrespective of your perspective, if you want to have an influence on the outcome, I strongly recommend you cast a ballot.
Go vote.
Right on.
Got a vote.
Right.
I can't right now. I'm not old enough. Do it for me. Do it in my name.
Right. You'll be voting before you know it.
I do the whole vote by mail thing, so it's super convenient. Highly recommend it.
Are you already done?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I submitted my materials the day before Hurricane Michael hit Bay County. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to end up with a ballot for the midterms or not. I'll keep you posted.
We'll see.
Right now, it's not looking good. I'm not sure they have comms up, but I'll see.
Well, I mean, a lot of people believe that your vote doesn't matter, but I mean, midterms, if you're of that viewpoint, then the presidential elections matter the least. The midterm elections are important because you're voting for your local government, and then get involved in your local politics, and that's where you'll enact change. That's where you'll see change.
That's right. All politics is ultimately local, which is why it's so difficult to predict the outcome. So
right.
Fascinating. We'll see how that all turns out. And I don't know. What other news you got? What other news is there?
I have it.
Yeah, what's news, Brad?
I'm going to give you both a choice. Either let's deal with the issue of racism, which I have a piece on, or the issue of issues involving trans people.
Good point.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let's start with the trans piece because I'm familiar with it. It appears that the Trump administration is looking to define gender in such a way as to eliminate transgendered persons as a category.
Well, hold on. Before you get ahead of yourself, that's not the piece I'm talking about.
Really?
However, that is interesting. No, apparently a world cycling bronze medalist is crying foul after a transgender woman wins gold.
I see.
They always do this because, they claim it's not fair.
That's exactly what it said in quotes, not fair. So you got it word for word.
Yeah.
So what's the complaint? The complaint is that this transgendered woman is actually a man? Is that the thing?
Yeah. Physically speaking, her physique is more similar to a male's physique and therefore shouldn't be considered in the women's challenge would be my guess.
Yes, I think. Yeah.
It's a tale as old as time. Song
Correct.
as old as rhyme. Transgender in the bike.
Coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, so I that is an interesting story. It's one that has happened a few other times. The bigger story is the fact that the Trump administration is basically talking about using administrative language to eliminate transgendered people as an identity in this country. Now,
which is no surprise considering our vice president.
Well,
yeah.
Not just our vice president, but really the whole tone of this administration has been exceptionally conservative in terms of social issues, which is highly ironic given the president's past behavior.
Well, I mean, I guess he stands for more than just himself, right? He stands for the ideal.
Sure, whatever. As long as we're all making money, that's the important thing. So, so you had transgender, and what's the racist issue that you have, Brad?
Ontario school board is being accused of pressuring teachers not to teach the racist, end quote, To Kill a Mockingbird book. It's taking it completely out of the curriculum.
It is interesting.
Is that because it uses the N-word? Is that the concept?
Possibly.
It probably portrays,
a bad name.
People of color in a negative view.
It does in many ways, and it also portrays the hero Atticus Finch as something of a great white savior. I mean, in some ways but on the other hand, it is a portrait of a period of time in America that has value as an historical document, if nothing else. I mean, I'm not in favor of banning books. I'm in favor of reading them and talking about them.
Exactly. Here's why this is a troublesome book.
Or
you can't
discuss those things instead of censoring people. I'm not a big fan of censorship.
Yeah, down with censorship. Brad, your thoughts?
You can't just burn or ban something because you don't like it. You have to accept that you don't like something, but you can talk about it and maybe try to perceive it in a new light that can make you either hate it less or understand it before you just start throwing hate and shade on it.
Yeah.
Well said.
I found the book incredibly interesting, and the movie also good. That actually did a decent job portraying the book.
I don't think I've ever seen the movie.
Oh, you need to see it.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Gregory Peck at the height of his fame. It's a terrific film.
This is actually my movie review. No, I'm just kidding. But
we're getting to those.
We're getting to them. I have one. But yeah, I mean, do I think that racism is okay? No. But do I think Kill a Mockingbird does a good job portraying both like the prejudice side against it, but also coming back with, hey, it's really messed up. We should talk about it, which is kind of new for that era in which it was written. Kind of calling out everybody on their shit about, hey, this is kind of messed up, right? And they're like, oh, I guess so. So I think it's bad that like you should say, oh, we can't teach it because, you know, it gives a voice to racism, like the first voice to racism since like, you know, Reformation and the abolishment of slavery.
All right.
So this is Canada that's trying to ban it?
Yeah, Ontario. You legalize weed and everyone starts spouting out nonsense. Devil's lettuce.
You know, and it's interesting because different countries have different, I want to say a less intimate relationship with, especially with American slavery, obviously. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
and American Jim Crow. I mean, which is really what To Kill a Mockingbird's really more about. But that being said, I mean, Canada has an interesting relationship with American slavery, being a haven for American slaves before the Civil War, and a haven for African Americans afterwards in many cases as well. So, but Brad, to your point, yes, that is the other big news story of the week. Really, is the legalization of marijuana by Canada, one of the world's largest economies, and our next door neighbor. And we'll see how that experiment turns out. I suspect it will be not that much different from legalizing alcohol and ending prohibition there, which is to say many people. Did you hear
that they're running out of weed?
Oh, I heard that. Yeah,
legalizing it, though?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, no one wants to be a criminal, right? So, right. I mean, they're going to I would go to the store versus going to a corner if I did that sort of thing, which I do not. I don't know what you just did, Brad, but whatever it is, stop. Just stop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't move.
Yeah.
Freeze.
So, I mean, it makes sense that you'd be out of legal weed in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, but don't worry, there's plenty. I'm sure they'll be able to restock pretty quickly.
I'd be interested to see the statistics. You know, how much did you have on hand? Supply and demand.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to need, I would say your inventory needs are going to be pretty extensive for a while.
What's the ratio on gram per person? That's what we need to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but believe me, now that it's legal, all of these marketing kinds of statistics will become available pretty quickly. So I think that's a good thing.
Subscribe to the correct, you know, I don't know, newsletters, I guess, and you'll find out pretty soon.
Pretty soon. All right. Anyway, so congratulations or doom upon Canada, depending upon your point of view. So there. All right, so that wraps up current events. I'm glad you brought up the legal. That's a big deal. That's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry up there, and I think will increase pressure on the United States to take some sort of national approach to marijuana laws. But I could be wrong.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll soon see. So up next, it's time for culture. So I don't have any culture, but I did start watching Maniac. Uncle Guy turned me on to that. And I said, you know, if Uncle Guy's watching it, I should watch it.
What is it?
It's a show on Netflix starring Jonah Hill and Emma Stone, also executive produced by Jonah Hill and Emma Stone. And
I like those two people.
I like the show. The show is interesting. It takes place in an alternate universe that's a lot like our own, yet different in subtle ways. And the bottom line, though, is that it's focused on the relationship. It's just a story of two troubled people interacting. The two troubled people being Jonah Hill's character and Emma Stone's character. That's really what it's about.
Well, neato.
And then
I do need a new show to watch. I've been rewatching 90s cartoons. So maybe something with a little more meat to it. That's just what we need.
Well, what kind of 90s cartoons have you been rewatching? Give me one title.
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
That's Ed, Edd and Eddy.
Oh, darn it. All right, yeah.
Hey Arnold, you know, they just yell, "Hey Arnold!"
Yeah.
over and over.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning. Arnold.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I remember you watching that. Are you watching any Rugrats?
I did watch a little bit of Rugrats.
Yeah.
It's a little slower than I remember.
More babies.
Some Invader Zim.
Oh, yeah. The classics.
Yeah. I mean, I only really watch TV when I eat dinner, and I only really watch half hour of TV maybe a day. So, and not really on the weekends.
Yeah. So that's that.
Cartoons hit the spot.
And I have not seen a movie yet. I have an intention to see a movie. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I
wait
did
a
go
minute.
see Venom.
And, okay, let's hear about Venom.
I liked it.
Okay.
I did. I liked it.
All right. So there you go. Up yours, critics.
Yeah, sorry.
What did you like about Venom? What did you like about it exactly?
It didn't take itself too seriously. A lot of Marvel does that.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ant-Man, the first one didn't take itself too seriously.
Right.
But this Marvel production doesn't necessarily have to live up to all the hype because it isn't part of the greater MCU universe. It's its own thing. It's owned by Sony. It was good. It was funny. There was obviously serious topics being discussed, but it was good. Good acting. Pretty funny.
Yeah, and as you say, it isn't part of the larger Marvel universe. It can stand on its own. It can do another sequel. It can do whatever it wants.
Right.
Never has to be seen again. I did see one film, thanks to Cousin Peyton and Bradley this week. Another 90s classic, or early 2000s classic, more appropriately. Coraline.
I've only seen parts of that. I've never seen the actual thing, but it's stop motion, isn't it?
It is stop motion. And Brad, I'd like to hear your take on this, but I saw it with you in the movie theater, Sarah. You may or may not.
Really?
I did. I know I did. And
when I was but a wee babe.
Exactly. You were probably 12, I think. Maybe I'm making that up, but I know I've seen it in the theater, and I can only imagine that I saw it in the theater with you and Nicholas.
To see it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but I remember at the time thinking, it's just not that great. Maybe because it was in comparison to A Nightmare on Halloween, which I really liked.
Before Christmas.
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas. So yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Before Halloween.
Yeah, something before Halloween, whatever you said. Anyway, so I thought it was much better watching it low expectations are so helpful.
Yeah, for sure. But just as a genre, I tend to respect the hell out of stop motion films. There's just so much work that goes into that.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, and it's beautifully produced. It's gorgeous. It's arresting visually, and it's got a really interesting story. So, Brad, what did you think of it?
Well, I've never seen a stop motion picture I haven't liked, but to go on to this, it's probably one of my favorite stop motion pictures. It is, I wouldn't label it as horror. I'm not sure what to label it as, but since I'm not calling it that, it's probably the scariest non-scary movie you watch. It's not necessarily scary.
It's unsettling.
It's weird.
It falls into the uncanny valley.
Uncanny
Valley. Yes, I like that.
It's like watching your parents fight. You just don't want to see it, but you're intrigued. It's really interesting. No, it's good. I mean, it starts off your first time seeing it and then not knowing what happens. It starts off slow, and it's just a very slow build up. Move into a house. It's like, oh, she doesn't want to live here. That's not interesting at all. And then the house is kind of weird. It's like, oh, spooky house, weird neighbors. Then finds a portal, another dimension. Finds the exact same situation, except it's everything she wanted. Her parents have buttons for eyes. Throws her off a bit. And then they don't go anywhere the first time. It's just kind of like, okay. They throw like tiny hints that the mother's kind of evil, but nothing like that you could pick up on your first time watching. Happens like 2 or 3 more times. It's very slowly and steadily getting more and more weird and uncomfortable. And then the second to last time she goes there, everything just gets spun on its head, and it's horrifying in its own weird sort of way that is like make you cover your eyes. It just makes you feel uncomfortable. Like she finds her dad. He looks like he just looks like he's shell shocked. He's like seen horrible things. Like you can tell he's totally being like manipulated, and it's like the soundtrack to the movie, like they build up the suspense so well that like even before you know that something's going on, you feel like something might be going on. Like there's like some voice. Sorry, what was that?
Does this have allegories to old English fairy tales?
In a sense, yeah. I mean, it uses a lot of, I think, a lot of the tropes of horror movies, but it does so very subtly. And it's a show that's suitable for young children because it really taps into young children's desires, anxieties, fears, and actually, of course, it has a happy ending and, a desire to see a happy ending. So, I mean, it's got it all. It's a great movie.
It's fantastic.
And it's available on Netflix until Halloween at least. So it's
Well, then I'll give it another watch.
Yeah, you give it a whirl. Give it a whirl.
I've got some laundry to fold this afternoon.
Why not? Why not indeed? Hey, the other thing, I think we mentioned it last week. We already mentioned seeing Cage the Elephant. We haven't really done anything else, I don't think, music-wise, have we, Bradley?
Well, I have a bit of news about movies.
Oh, really?
Though I haven't seen, you mentioned Jonah Hill being executive producer on the show Maniac. Well, 2 days ago on Friday, a movie was released that he directed.
What one?
It's called 90s Kids. It's just about the whole scene of the mid-90s. And apparently, as everyone says, it's like exactly carbon copy of the 90s.
Huh.
Fascinating.
Yeah, like it's just like kids skateboarding. It's basically a mix about skateboarding or some kind of variety. I'm not actually sure. But it looks very interesting. It looks good. I can't relate to it in any way, shape, or form, being born in the 2000s. But I'm sure Sarah or Nick.
Oh my God, you're just a baby.
I know. I'm sorry. It was early 2000s, so we're close.
Yes, because that makes it better.
But what's interesting, Sarah, is that you're now at an age where they're going to be coming out with films and other sorts of entertainments that are kind of trying to play on your nostalgia for your childhood, which is the mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
They've already done
Thanks.
that for me,
Thanks
and
for that.
all the 80s shows, and that 70s shows. Those are all designed to appeal to they've been doing that for decades, right? When I was a kid, the big show was Happy Days, which was supposedly some sort of view of the 50s. Right. So this is not a new phenomenon. Every 10 years, they're going back 20 years.
Exactly.
So It's all good. It'll be interesting. And I don't know why that appeals to people so much. I guess it gives them a sense of belonging.
It does.
People love nostalgia. Like they always love it. Like in the 80s, 50s nostalgia was in like full blow, apparently.
Yeah. Late 70s. Yeah, late 70s.
All right.
I was alive then. It does bring up a point, though, which is that, Brad has never been alive at a time when he knew that the World Trade Center was an actual existing property.
Yep. Totally true.
Weird.
It's true. And in fact, there are now people joining the military joining the military and were born after 9/11. They were born after 9/11.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, thanks. Let me go ahead and approach my 30th birthday with an impending sense of doom. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm good for that sort of thing. I really
Everybody
am.
I've talked to, all the women in my life that I've talked to say that 30 was so much harder than 40 or 50. And it's like, oh, good. You guys are making me feel real great about this. Like I was fine, but I feel like I should feel pressure about hitting 30.
No need. First of all, you're not even 27 yet. So,
Dad.
Oh, are you 27? Oh, well.
This has been an awkward conversation.
Look, that's not your fault.
28,
okay,
but go ahead, keep talking.
I was just going to say that's not your fault. Anyway, but yeah, so as you approach your 28th birthday, you're still 2 years off from 30, and think about all that you've accomplished. Unbelievable. You own a home. You're chicken adjacent. You're married. You have a fabulous job. You have both the largest dog known to man in terms of the Great Dane and the smallest dog known to the man in terms of a Chihuahua. I could go on and on about all of the things that you've already accomplished, and you're not yet 28.
Well, thank you.
Well, it's just a true statement. I mean, when I was 28, I didn't know what was going on. I really didn't. You seem to know what's going on. I did not know what was going on when I was 28. I didn't.
You were in the military. You had some idea.
Oh, yeah, I was in the military, but I was a dummy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's all in the distant, misty past for me. But my point is that you're doing fantastic from my point of view. But, we put all this pressure on ourselves, do we not? Whatever our age, we should have accomplished more. We should be doing more. We should be more. And that's the American
largely
one.
an American thing.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Well, you're at an age where I'm hoping that you start to apply some pressure to yourself at some point, Bradley.
That's what the government wants, and no.
Yeah. Actually, I was speaking to some friends the other day, and they were talking about all of the things that their high school kids are involved in. And they're saying, wow, I'm really dreading this winter because we're going to have all of these activities with our kids that we're going to have to cart them to here and there, and it's just going to be super busy, and I'm not looking forward to it. And I said, well, thank you for making me feel grateful for having an unmotivated son.
Woo! That's right. This is like the only thing I got going on with me right now. This podcast and like maybe a sandwich for later. And I'm not even sure about the sandwich yet.
Brad, thank you. Thank you for that.
No,
all right.
You're not the least motivated person that's in my life, so I mean,
yeah, far from it.
Right. That motivates me to do nothing even more.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess thank you for that, because that will help him skip the sandwich. So thank you, Sarah.
Okay.
All right. Well, good. So that covers pop culture as near as we can cover it. We're shorthanded this week a little bit, but it does make for a better show in some ways.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
don't let them hear you say that.
Well, I'm just saying, in terms of not stepping over one another. That's all. That's the only way.
We're working on it. We'll get our etiquette down eventually.
Get our sea legs.
Anytime now. So in the meantime, let's turn our attention to sports. And we'll start with the Corn Shuckers. Yeah, because we've been talking about the Corn Shuckers every week. And the Corn Shuckers, big news for the Corn Shuckers, they got off the schneid, as Chris Berman used to say, and got their first win of the season, a convincing victory. They scored over 50 points against the hapless Minnesota Gophers. Go Gophs.
So, wait, they lost?
With a team name like Gophers. Come on. Come on.
Says someone whose college is the Corn Shuckers.
Actually, it's Corn Huskers. I'm being cruel.
You're still not working with much.
And actually, that's
we're
not true.
Working. How dare you?
And not only that,
we're not, furry animals and or people who do things for other people.
Right.
Farmers.
Yes.
Farm country.
Yes, but actually, Sarah, let's be honest, you're not a Corn Husker yourself. You're a Maverick.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And also, I don't give two shits about Cornhusker.
Football, sports.
Let's continue this facade.
Yeah, so I don't know whatever you just said, but what I know is that you don't care about sports. Other than UFC, you're a big fan of UFC.
I am.
Yeah. Not much news
I tried
on that
baseball.
front.
I tried soccer. Couldn't hold my interest.
Yeah.
Turns out I just need people punching each other in the face. So.
You just need some violence in your life.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, not actual. Watching other people conduct sanctioned violence against one another.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that I don't have enough excitement in my life or something. Live vicariously.
Yeah, that sounds right. I enjoy the Octagon. I get very involved in it, but I can't imagine actually participating in it. Bradley, can you imagine doing UFC?
What's that?
Can you imagine doing UFC?
I can imagine getting beaten up, yeah.
Well, just the amount of physicality that goes into that sport is nutso to me.
Yeah, they work hard, for sure.
I don't like conflict enough for that.
What?
I don't like conflict enough for that. I don't like fighting people.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to enjoy punching and getting punched. You'd have to enjoy that. I don't enjoy that either. So anyway, the Cornhuskers won a football game against the Minnesota, and they're not just Gophers, by the way, Bradley. They're Golden Gophers.
Oh,
sorry.
They think very highly of themselves.
Right.
Here I was thinking they were embellished in bronze.
No, they're not the Bronze Gophers nor the Silver Gophers. They're the Golden Gophers. And they got their ass kicked by Nebraska, who had been previously winless. So congratulations to the Corn Shuckers, and tough break for the Golden Gophs. And in the meantime, in terms of other news about Nebraska has a new tourist slogan. And this should have been in current events, because their new tourism slogan is so ridiculous that it made Colbert Report, or Stephen Colbert Show, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know what the new slogan for the state is?
I do.
Yes. And so would you tell us? Would you share it with the group?
Honestly, it's not for everyone.
That's right. Nebraska. Honestly, it's not for everyone. Well, isn't that the truth?
I think that's why it's been so popular, is that, well, they can't argue with it.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. In fact, I mean, but the obvious corollary is, in fact, it's not for most people.
Mm-hmm.
So why bother to come at all?
Well, because some people are contrary, and now they've been issued a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually,
Come for the corn, stay for the husking.
Right.
Or have you ever wanted to go to a place without a redeeming geographic feature? Now's your chance.
We have Chimney Rock, right?
You
Yeah.
can say the same about
Out
Kansas.
there.
Kansas got.
Yeah, you do. You do have Chimney Rock. It's true. I mean, that's a thing. You gotta want to get to Chimney Rock, though. I mean,
Yeah,
actually,
for sure.
there are some beautiful parts of the state. Have you ever been up to Valentine, Nebraska?
Yeah.
Up where
They have a really cool trail system, actually. They have trails that follow an abandoned railroad track,
Yeah.
and it goes for something like 400 miles, I think. I don't know, but I've seen a lot of footage on it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So you've seen footage. You've been to Valentine, though, have you?
I have been to Valentine, but I haven't gone the stretch of the 400 trail system, 400 mile trail system.
Yeah, it's a long way.
Right.
Long way to go on foot, certainly. So there's some pretty parts in Nebraska, but honestly, it's not for everyone.
Exactly. It ties into any conversation.
It does, really. Hey, are you hungry? Yeah, I am. And also, honestly, it's not for everyone. On to the next subject. And the next subject is, I think we're out of subjects. Do we have any more? First of all, did anything happen in UFC this week?
No.
So nothing did, other than us talking about the fact that none of us want to get hit in the face.
There was,
Yeah, but-
I don't remember if it was last weekend or if I talked about Bellator already, but I watched the last fights I watched were Bellator. So
Yeah,
I haven't watched anything in UFC.
you
I'm
did.
not sure if there was fights this weekend or not because I went haunted housing.
That's true. I will say that baseball has been going on. I mean, I think that the National League representative has been set for the World Series. It's going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers, who whooped the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Championship Series. And
The only thing I know about the World Series or whatever is that it's hosted here.
Oh, I see. No, that's the College World Series.
What did you say?
What did I say?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You said World Series something.
I guess. I don't know what I said. But
Well, what the hell are you talking about, old man?
no, I said
Are you shouting nonsense?
no, I said the World Series. I didn't say the College World Series. The World Series.
Oh,
You didn't
okay.
specify it was national.
Apparently, there's a distinction.
Yeah, there's a distinction. Of course there is. Although,
Remember how I just said I tried to get into baseball and then couldn't?
yeah, that's true. You did say that.
You're missing your sportsing partners, and I am, I'm a poor substitute.
Missing your sportsing partners. That's a good way of putting it. Actually, Brad is kind of sporty, oftentimes.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about sports right now because my favorite football team is currently garbage for some reason. As of week 3, they started sucking.
Are you pouting? Is that what's
No,
happening?
I'm upset. I'm not pouting. I'm upset.
Yeah, he's,
Don't even get started with me right now. I am.
Oh, all right.
yeah.
Okay.
He's very
So-
salty. He is. He's. Brad, you're a notoriously poor loser. It's.
I am the worst loser. If you play bowling with me and I do somewhat bad, the whole night's gonna be ruined for everyone because I don't care about anyone else at that point.
Yeah.
I'm like the worst loser right now.
Yeah.
I say I work on it, and I did at one point, and I stopped, and I'm honestly a bit better overall, but still not great.
Yeah. You should work on that. It's not a pleasant quality.
No, I know.
It
When have
really-
I been known about pleasantness?
Yeah. Well, you are known actually for your pleasantness in many other areas, but it really isn't a big deal whether or not the Jaguars win or lose.
Well, apparently, since he's just a baby, he has plenty of time to work on it.
That's true.
Oh,
Right,
my
we did
God,
go
I'm
over
getting
that, didn't we?
attacked for my own personal beliefs over here of
Mm.
being young.
No, you're not. You're not being attacked. You're being
Not
mentored.
really.
You're being
That's
mentored. Yeah.
Being
Encouraged.
mentored in a condescending way.
No.
As is the practice for us old people.
Right.
Now get off my lawn.
You little shit.
Fair enough. Hey, so just real quickly, I will go over the football scores that are of interest to me, which is the Broncos ended their a 3-game losing streak by thrashing the Cardinals 45-10. Although, in fairness, I watched that game. The Broncos, considering that they won 45-10, they didn't look good. The offense didn't look good. I mean, Case Keenum, you would think, they won 45-10. Case Keenum should have a fabulous stat line. No, he didn't even score 10 fantasy points. Not a great game for the Broncos, despite winning 45-10. I don't think they've righted the ship, and I believe that this might be look, they beat the Cardinals. It's not like they beat, the Chiefs, and they're going to have a chance to play the Chiefs again, and will most likely, if I were a betting person, I would bet against the Broncos. I would bet against the Broncos to cover in that game.
Do the Chiefs play this weekend?
That's a great question. I think they've got a bye.
No, I think they play Monday. Play Monday night. They either play tonight or Monday night against the Bungles.
That's correct. They do play tonight. They play Sunday evening.
I was going to say downtown KC was all lit up in red. I assumed it was for the Chiefs, but,
Yeah, they stand a pretty good chance of beating the Bengals, I think. They do.
For sure.
Yeah. So, but the Broncos, not that good. The Jaguars, Brad, they're falling apart. Can we step aside from your personal angst and take a look at what the reasons are, do you think?
We lost Fournette for a couple weeks, and that might just be a huge morale blow because we're playing like we used to. And when we used to play, we weren't great. We're playing like Coach Bradley coaching us now, said Doug Brown. We lost to the Cowboys last week, 40-7. We lost to Texans this week, 20-7. I think we played the Chiefs and got, handed to. Their defense isn't that great. And now all of a sudden we're looking like a bunch of idiots. And there's nothing. It could be Fournette. I think it has to be. We got Carlos Hyde in a trade, but that doesn't seem to do much of anything.
Yeah.
I really don't know what's happening. I think the running game kind of dropped, and that just that just made it. It was a very unstable, but it was unstable but effective. And then the running game went down, and everything else just went downhill.
Well, so I'm going to say two things about what you just said. First of all, I agree that losing Fournette turned out to be a bigger deal than anybody imagined. Without a good run game, it turns out, hey, if you don't have a great quarterback, you're not going anywhere without a good running game. And I think that what's been proven is that Blake Bortles is who we think Blake Bortles is, which is not a very good quarterback unless he's got a great running game to fall back on. So without that, you're better off, or just as good, with Cody Kessler, as shown today. So,
for sure, I don't mind him. I definitely don't mind him.
Yeah. So I'm afraid until Fournette comes back, your team is probably unlikely to be very good.
Oh, for sure.
Although that doesn't really explain what's happened to the defense, but I guess they just get demoralized without,
I think honestly, that has to be it.
Well, we're gonna say that was it. Well, all right, so much for sports. So somebody's going to play somebody in the World Series, and I think it's going to be the Dodgers against the Red Sox, which, by the way, is what certainly TV executives wanted, because two big markets, at least you're going to get some TV viewership. But most people do not watch baseball, even in the World Series.
Well, yeah. It was America's pastime. I'm not so sure it is anymore.
Yeah. Who's got that kind of time?
The NBA and the NFL blew up in the recent decades, and that's just full reign. I think even hockey's honestly getting more popular than baseball at this point.
Interesting.
What is the when were those sports introduced? Because
what sports?
Football.
Well, football dates back to 1900 basically. In its modern form, football has been around basically since the 50s. In its most modern form. They played a version of football all the way back, into the teens. But really, I think the NFL has been around since like 1921 or something. But the reality is that the modern game continues to evolve. Football, if you watch football today and watch a football game from the 50s, you'll see, it looks pretty much the same, but the defense could take the opposing player's heads off. There's been significant changes to the rules over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, my own personal opinion is that baseball is better suited to the radio. It's interesting to listen to a baseball game, especially if you don't have anything visual going along with it. I love listening to a baseball game just driving down the road. But to actually sit and watch a baseball game, there's just not that much. It's just not that much there to hold your interest. Compared to, say, football, where you've got at least some action going to happen in 30 to 40 seconds. Although the time that it takes between plays for football is absolutely terrible. That's one of the reasons I like NFL Game Pass, because you can watch speeded up games. They cut out all the crap between plays.
Nice.
Yeah, that's terrific.
And on a similar note,
yes,
the HGTV has a ton of shows on Hulu. So I really like. I can't remember which one it is, but it's got Chip and Joanne. And,
Chip and Joanne, the that one show.
Yeah. Anyway, so I like to watch that when I'm not really doing anything.
Right.
And very similarly, you realize how much content they recycle. Like it's really like a 20-minute show that they stretch into an hour format and cram full of ads. So in a streaming format where I pay not to be advertised to, there's really a lot of recycled content.
Yeah.
And that's the closest I come to watching football.
I understand. Because let's face it, in a show like that, so you play out the first act or whatever, then you run 5 minutes of commercials, and you come back and you have to recap what's happened thus far for people who are just tuning in.
Right.
So you're showing all the stuff that they already done. Now, on a show like that, I like watching the last 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Because you get the payoff.
First 5, last 10. I'm telling you, it's like a 15, 20-minute format.
Yeah, that's a winner. I just can't remember the name of that show.
I can't either.
Yeah,
I guess I could look it up.
Well, you could if you were truly interested, which it sounds like you are. So,
bit.
Yeah. That show's ending.
Fixer Upper.
Yeah, Fixer Upper. And that show's ending. Or maybe it's ended.
Maybe. Might have. I don't know. I know that they have some sort of product line at Target, and I love everything that they have.
Really? Well, God bless them. God bless Chip and Joanna.
Mm-hmm.
They're wonderful, wonderful Americans. The American success story.
Them and their horde of children.
Yes. Well, they've
a horde of children. That's horrifying.
I can't say anything bad about them. They seem like a lovely couple. I hope it doesn't come out in later years that they're actually horribly evil people.
God, I hope not.
Oh, man.
They seem so friendly.
Wouldn't that be disappointing?
So disappointing.
Right. Turns out Joanna's a heroin addict and Chip's a pedophile.
Ugh.
Yeah, gross. And yet possible. We don't know. Am I going to get sued for defamation?
God, I hope not. Again, walking PR nightmare. Next topic.
I didn't even bring them up. I think they're wonderful people, for the record. They seem like it. I'm saying I hope they're not.
And we're moving on.
Yes, okay. I'm saying I'm hoping that my good feelings about them are justified. That's all I'm saying.
You're not listening to me, are you?
Moving on. Yes. Well, kids, this has been wonderful. It's so terrific to talk to both of you. Is there anything that we're missing?
I've been scrolling through Reddit like this whole time, and no. You know what? Sometimes a slow week is a good week. That's what I'd say.
I wouldn't call it slow. I would just call it not interesting.
Well, right. Unless you happen to be a friend or loved one of Jamal Khashoggi or are interested in Middle East peace.
That's whatever.
Yeah, slow week. Got it. Hey, one other thing that's happening, just real quick. I'm just going to wrap it up with this because it's a slow-moving story. This thing about Brexit, the United Kingdom perhaps crashing out of the European Union. If that were to happen, that would be a tremendously big deal in terms of an economic shock to the system. They'll work it out. They always do. But in the meantime, that's something to keep your eye on as an important story with large-scale global economic ramifications.
That's a lot of words I don't understand.
I'll let you know if it's something you need to pay attention to.
It means college may or may not be expensive for you. Stay tuned.
Right. That's okay. He's joining the Guard anyway.
Oh, there you have it.
All right. Well, good talk. And, if there's nothing further, then I guess we'll just, go to the outro.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hang on. I forgot my harmonica.
Play the shit out of that harmonica. With the beat drop. Yeah. Here we go.
A Shinn Show. A Shinn Show. A Shinn Show. A Shinn Show.
Show.
A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence and features the voices and opinions of the Shinn family. It's brought to you by Ziff's, a fine dining establishment in Invercargill, New Zealand. What's New Zealand anyway? I don't know. All right, anyway. Good to
Hobbit
talk.
holes.
What's that?
Oh,
Yes.
Hobbitses.
Yes. Nasty hobbitses. All right. Potatoes. Stick 'em, stew 'em, mash 'em in a pot or something. I don't know.
what's taters?
Taters. Taters. What's taters? All right, anyway. Good to talk to you, kids.
Yeah.
Same.
You know what?
Let's do it again next week.
Let's do it again next week.
What is next week?
It's
What's the
the
date?
27th.
It could be a Halloween episode.
I really think I'm honestly playing D&D next weekend for the first time in like a month.
Oh, good.
I gotta level everyone up.
Yeah. Let's
I
level
gotta go
up.
do some character management, yo.
All right. Well, yeah. So next week, join us next week for a very special Halloween edition of a Shinn Show. It's going to be scarier than normal.